Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be looking at the probability of independent and dependent events, similar to the problems that you see up on the screen. Just a reminder, this is the speedrun version where we go through it pretty quickly. If you'd like the normal version of the lesson, I will link that in the description below. All right, your Ricasso Recap starts now. In 30 seconds or less, here's what you need to know before you start this lesson. Firstly, you should already know how to multiply fractions or have a calculator that can help you with that. Secondly, you should already be familiar with calculating probability. That includes, writing your answer as a percentage, rounding. That includes terminology like prime numbers, divisors, factors, so on and so forth. If you want refreshers on any of these topics, fractions, probability, terminology, vocabulary, I will link a video in the description below. Please go watch that before you start this lesson. All right, new lesson starts now. Here we go. It says you roll a 6-sided die 2 times. And then it says, what is the probability of rolling a factor of 64 and then rolling a prime number? So let's start with factors of 64. We could list out all the factors of 64, but ain't nobody got time for that. So how about we just think about what numbers are on this die? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Which one of these numbers are factors of 64? 1 is, 2 is, 3 is not, 4 is, 5 is not, 6 is not. So 3 numbers out of the 6 total numbers. All right, what about prime numbers? Remember, prime numbers are numbers that can only be divided evenly by itself and 1. And remember, 1 is never a prime number, so 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, 4 is not, 5 is a prime number, 6 is not. So again, we have 3 out of the 6. And now to find the overall probability, right? What's the probability of rolling a factor of 64 and then on the second roll, rolling a prime number? What's probability of those happening in that specific sequence? The way we find that is we do 3 over 6 times 3 over 6. We just multiply our two probabilities. So 3 times 3 is 9, 6 times 6 is 36. You could reduce this, but in this IXL you don't have to. So, but it does say write your answer as a percentage. So we need to multiply by 100, and that will give us 25% final answer. All right, for this problem, it says you pick a card at random without putting the first card back. Very important. You pick a second card at random. So you're going to pull a card, and then you're not going to put that card back in the deck. And these are called dependent events. And the reason they're called dependent is because the first card pull affects or changes the probability of the second card pull, right? Because now you have less cards to pull from. These are dependent events. The problem we just looked at with the die, and you roll the die, okay? Rolling the die the first time doesn't affect the roll of the second die. So those are independent events. So dependent means that they affect each other. Independent means they don't affect each other at all. All right, so here we go. It says, what is the probability of picking a 2? So 2 is 1 card out of the 4. And now remember, we don't put it back. So it's gone. And then it says, and then picking a factor of 27. So remember, the 2 is not there. Which one of the remaining cards are factors of 27? 1 is, 3 is, 4 is not. So this is 2 out of the 3 remaining cards. And now we can go ahead and multiply, which gives us 2 over 12. It says write your answer as a percentage. So we multiply by 100, which will give us 16.6 repeating. And then it says rounded to the nearest tenth. So that would be 16.7% final answer. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it is time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these 2 problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, here is the work. You should have gotten 2 over 16 as your final answer because it says write your answer as a fraction. It doesn't say simplify or reduce. If you did reduce, you should have gotten 1 over 8. Should take either answer. Okay, for the second problem, a little tricky here. Okay, it says what is probably picking an odd number? The only odd number is 5, so that's 1 out of 3. Remember, you don't put it back because it says without putting the first card back. And then it says, now what's the probability of pulling an odd number out of the remaining cards? Well, there are no odd numbers remaining because you don't put the 5 back in the deck. So that's 0 out of 2. Well, now the probability of these happening is just 0, right? I can't pick an odd number and then pick an odd number. Cannot happen because I'm not putting the first card back. So your answer is just 0. All right, that's it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.